How are we? Hey, Beverly. Hey, Emma. Hey, Bruce. How's the sound? Am I sounding good today? Or is the sound all right? Wonderful. Thank you. Got my little thing just in case. Thank you very much. You may be able to see something behind us, which may give you a clue as to what we're doing. Everyone have a good Christmas or holidays so far? I do hope so. Is that a Hago fan? Yeah. You might be able to see. Yeah, lovely. Nice, saw the family. I sort of do the old traditional 12 days of Christmas thing, so don't stop celebrating until the 5th of January. And let's be honest, most of us have got the time to do it at the moment, to celebrate these days. Or at least not to work. Got my Cork Republic of Ireland cap on. Got my glasses on. Normally I don't need glasses, but I don't know, I suppose I could see the screen, but just in case. Yeah, it's quite a mild day today. I'd say about 10 at the moment. 10 degrees centigrade. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. I'm not that intelligent, sadly. Let's have a little wander anyway, and then we'll start in a little while. Maybe some staff around where we're going to be. So we'll take a little wander. We'll start in a couple of minutes. If some of you have guessed where we are, don't say anything. It's quite easy to guess at the moment, I think, from what's behind me. Yeah, we've got St. Paul's there in the background. It's not a bad shot, is it? If you can Photoshop me out of it, it's not too bad. But yeah, St. Paul's, very quiet along the river. Good connection as well, where we are. We're in the centre of London, so it should be. Yeah, it's a better day than yesterday. There's been floods everywhere around London and so on. Anyone trying to drive around hasn't been easy. But I'd say we're expecting rain in the next hour or so. But that shouldn't affect us anyway. Not where we're going to go. It's good. In the background, you can see some of the more modern buildings in the financial district. The cheese grater, the walkie-talkie, and so on. Got about a minute until we start. Welcome, Leslie, Lorraine, Jeff C. Nice to see you. Hello, Anne. Hey, guys. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's 9:15, my time, UK time. I'm not sure if you guys it's morning or evening. Hi, how are you doing? Nice to see you. 22 seconds to go, and then we'll get started. Okay, 9. That's good. I'm trying to get this looking good. And if you can hear the bells, 10:15 p.m. Thank you so much. In New Zealand, in Yorkshire. What's the time in Yorkshire? Probably similar, I'd say. Okay. Hey, Erica. Some friends of mine there in the background. Okay, so hello to all of you. I'm Gerard, Jeza, Gerhard, Gerardo. We're on the South Bank, on the opposite side of the river from the old city of London in the 15 and 1600s. This area was part of Surrey, the county of Surrey. Now it's part of London. London is Greater London. And this was 400 or so years ago the Las Vegas of Europe. And as you can see behind me with the weather, it still is, of course. I'm going to turn around in a moment and show you where we are. We're going to go up a dark staircase. We've got some early morning access to Shakespeare's Globe Theatre. And we're going up a side tower. Now, in 1599, this theatre opened. Not this particular one, this is a reconstruction. But the original Globe opened on the South Bank, on this side of the river, because it wasn't part of London. London was run by the Puritans, who hated everything. So no theatre, no singing, no dancing, no sport, no gambling, and no other things we won't go into right now. Basically, all my hobbies gone. No Christmas. Yeah, it's strange. To be very Christian, but not to celebrate Christmas. I think the idea was that they didn't want mince pies and drinking and present giving. They wanted Christmas to be a time of reflection and prayer, which is fair enough, but people wanted to let loose and enjoy themselves. On this side of the river, mostly were the theatres, and most of the plays would happen at 2:00 in the afternoon. Strangely, the same time as a church service in London. Now we're in the middle. Yeah, I definitely do. Ian, who does Stratford, he knows his stuff, and I've watched many of his tours and seemed like a lovely guy. Hopefully I'll get to meet a lot of these guides very soon. We're in the middle gallery here. The middle gallery. You paid a bit more to be up here. So here we go. How about this? Not bad. This is the set for a production which is on here at the moment, named The Fir Tree, F-I-R, adapted from a story by Hans Christian Andersen, about a little tree, little pine tree, a little fir tree that doesn't want to be cut down for Christmas. As you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, we have the stage, a raised stage, and some set and scenery, and a couple of pillars. All the pillars that you see on stage are oak, the same as the rest of the building. They are painted to look like Italian marble. Right in the center of the screen, you may see there's a crack in one of the pillars, but that's all quite natural. It's made from green oak straight from the trees, so when it dries from the inside out. And to the right of the stage, behind, you have what you would have called the tiring house, where people would get changed. Very small area. In those days, you had fewer actors in plays, maybe 8 to 10 actors in a play, all male. It was considered ungodly for women to act, and from a practical point of view, girls didn't go to school, so they couldn't read and write, and therefore it would have been tricky for them to learn the plays. And on the left-hand side, you have the yard. And the yard would be full of what were sometimes referred to as the penny stinkards. They paid a penny and they stank. The Globe does not use that phrase today. The people down here today are known as the groundlings. They stand on the ground, and there was a word that was used by Shakespeare, grundling, which was a Dutch word, and it was a fish when it would try and reach its head out of the water. It would look up with its mouth open, and Shakespeare, being an actor before he was ever a writer, he would have looked down from the stage and seen, and would have seen people looking up, open mouthed. Is the audio okay? No connection problems here. Does it seem to be okay, guys? Thumbs up if the audio's okay. Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, maybe try refreshing the screen and come back to me if there is a problem. Let's have a little wander around. We're going to go to one of the gentlemen's boxes. Now, when you went to a theatre back in 1599, when the first Globe opened, if you sat on a side area, in a side box, you were normally aristocracy. A lord, a lady, a gentleman, a gentlewoman, or a knight. The equivalent in the West End would be a royal box, but by all accounts, we don't think royalty went to the Globe. So in the film Shakespeare in Love, although the film is set way before the Globe opened, it's set in the late 1580s, early 1590s, I suppose, the Globe, the first Globe hadn't opened yet, but we think royalty summoned the actors to court or to a palace. But at the end of that film, Dame Judi Dench, playing Queen Elizabeth, visits a theatre. We have no evidence that would have happened. It may have happened, but we don't think so. Sorry, Elaine. How's that better? Perfect. And then we have the galleries, 3 galleries. So the people on the ground floor paid 1 penny, maybe twice as much, to be sat on a seat. Oh, wonderful. Well, I'll get in touch with Ian because I'm a big fan of him and his work. And then you have the centre gallery, and then above you have an upper gallery, which you actually paid a bit more to go further up. They had a theory of miasma, M-I-A-S-M-A, where a lot of the people in those days thought that any disease, any illness, any affliction, which was physical, was caused by smelling. So a lot of the people on the ground floor, because they couldn't afford any spices and herbs, they would chew raw garlic. And garlic was easy to grow. And I suppose if you're chewing raw garlic as a snack, you wouldn't mind paying a little bit more to go further up, away from that smell. Anyway, but the people upstairs, if you could afford it, you would wear something, a pomander, which was basically a necklace with some herbs and spices, a strong smell, which would be just underneath you. And they thought if you created a strong odour, it kept things like the plague away. And they also thought that smoking kept the plague away. So young children were encouraged to smoke. And beer was something that most people drank, not as strong as the beer we have today. These paintings are from, did they have toilets in there of any kind? There were, Elaine, public toilets in London. One of the most famous was along in Westminster named Whittington's Longhouse. And it was a 128-seat long toilet, 64 men, 64 women, on an angle, and it led to the river. There was running water underneath. So they were trying to be civilized as much as they could. But at the Globe, we have no evidence there were toilets. And the yard itself would have been mud, so people were just going to the toilet, possibly where they stood. Just to let you know, I've been told officially they do have toilets today. Thank you. The paintings on either side in these gentlemen's rooms, gentlemen's boxes, are the elements and the senses. And these are painted on canvas, and every couple of years these change. You may be able to just see the canvas if I put my hand there. You can press them. A lot of local artists do these for the globe. So let's try and turn round, and we'll go upstairs. We'll get even richer on the way. So it's made from oak. And oak, well, today it's a beautiful material, and you would show off your oak. Thank you, Emma. You would show off oak if you had an oak building. But as I mentioned, the stage was painted. There are many accounts, people writing diaries and other people maybe doing the odd sketch or painting of other playhouses around the country. They believe that, thank you, Dee. Some of the people believe that, academics especially, that the entirety of the globe was painted. And we've had people saying, the building, when I attended the Globe, was decorative. The entire building was, they didn't specify the stage. Thank you, Elaine. So we're in an upper gallery, and we're going up a tower. In the old days, you paid to enter on the ground floor. So a penny to enter. A penny would go in a box. We assume that the boxes went to what we now call the box office. And another penny would go in another box at a staircase to go higher up. So the higher you went, the more you paid. Above the stage, we have an attic. And this was an area for sound effects. Thank you, Carol. Drumming, trumpets, and so on. And in 1613, how much was a penny back then? Well, I've always said about £5. Things had different value in those days. It was a penny for the public toilet in Vauxhall area. It was a penny for entrance to a theatre. It was a penny for a beer. It was a penny for 2 loaves of bread. But a lemon, for instance, was about 5 pence. So things had slightly different value in those days. But these buildings were quite novel in the way that you paid for entrance. Actors would often travel the country, and they would perform in fields and market squares, and they would go round like buskers or street entertainers, and you would pay a penny at the end, or you would put money, you would go round with a hat or a box. So to pay for entertainment in advance was quite a novel idea. I believe the word is mercantilism. I don't know if anyone could correct me on that. But in this picture, you see the attic. The Globe opened in 1599. In 1613, there was a production of a play named Henry VIII, or All is True, believed to be Shakespeare's final play. And from this attic, they fired a cannon as a sound effect. Not a good idea, considering the building is made from wood and has a thatched roof. And this man, Henry Wotton, was sat up here in the top gallery, and he wrote about it in his diary. And he watched sparks of fire landing on the roof. The theatre burnt down slowly, and there were over 3,000 people here, and nobody was injured except for one man who stood on the ground floor with his breeches on fire. I say stood, he was probably running around screaming, and he was screaming for water, by all accounts, and nobody had water. One man had a bottle of beer, and he watched as somebody threw beer on the fire, saving the man's life, but wasting good beer. Thank you, Sean. So these upper galleries are oak, of course, it's an oak-framed building with white plaster mixed with goat's hair. animal hair. It made the building a bit more flexible, meant that the plaster could grip a little bit better. Didn't know that beer can extinguish fire. Yeah, beer, it can be a lifesaver in that respect. The beer wasn't as strong as the beer we have today. The beer would have been maybe 1.5%. So we believe that children were drinking beer, encouraged to drink beer because it was a way of getting vitamins. Yeah, it was probably mostly water anyway. So somehow brewed a bit. I suppose they would boil water to make something resembling beer, ale, maybe like the butter beer we have in Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings today. This globe is the third globe. The first globe did burn down, 1613, and Shakespeare then retired. And we believe he just went back to Stratford-upon-Avon, and by all accounts, he never wrote another word and died 3 years later at the age of 52. Not a bad age to get to in those days. But a second globe was built by the shareholders. They built another globe without him, which stood for 30 years. And then the Puritans took over the country. And all the theatres were closed. They arrested the king, Charles I, kept him in prison for about 7 years. And if you watch the programme Upstart Crow, it is brilliant. And although it's wonderfully funny, there is a lot of factual stuff in Upstart Crow. So I do advise you watch Upstart Crow, written by Ben Elton. And so the second globe was demolished in 1644. If you notice, by the way, that some of these windows are blocked because they overlook the toilets. That's they say that's not part of the experience. You have to pay extra for that kind of stuff. Yes, so 1644, the second globe was demolished, and this area, Southwark, Bankside, became run down, I suppose. Not really an area where people lived, an area of industry for a while in the 1800s. It became part of the Industrial Revolution. And then there were factories and foundries, including one of the buildings which is next to the globe today, the Tate Modern Art Gallery, also known as the Bankside Power Station, it would have been earlier on. And previously to that, I believe the Pioneer Power Station, where they generated electricity. This area today is thriving. These are the Bankside gates. So when there's a play on in an afternoon, these gates are opened, and they have some lovely work on them. Some flowers, some animals. Let's go around here. You might be able to see the framework here. The architect of this theatre was a South African, Theo Crosby. And Theo had the idea of actually showing the framework on the outside of the building. We have a lot of evidence now that the globe was entirely covered in white plaster. At the time, when we opened in 1997, we did really assume that it was an oak-framed building. You could see the work on the outside of it. Just to show you, if I can turn this down, there are names on the piazza here. These are the stones for the fundraisers. There are quite a few. Thousands of people giving quite a good amount of money in the 1970s and 80s. Would have been about £300-400. But it was built by donations. And it was one man's idea. And he was an American actor, Sam Wanamaker. Anyone famous? Let's have a little look. Oh, Susie, yeah. The Anchor is a great pub down the road. think you can see maybe just here, if I stand out of the way, a couple of actors, Laurence Olivier and Vivien Leigh. They did all right for themselves, didn't they? Yeah, they had not bad careers. One of the funniest stones in the entire piazza is over in the far corner. It's actually covered with the Christmas tree at the moment, but it's for Michael Palin, the great Michael Palin, Monty Python fame. And next to him is another legend, Richard Wilson. I don't believe it, if you know the show One Foot in the Grave. But Michael Palin's name is spelt wrong. Michael Palin's name is spelt with an extra L, Michael Palin, because John Cleese, when he paid for both stones, he decided to add an extra L to annoy his friend and spell his name wrong. But the stonemasons got their own back, and they gave John Cleese the smallest stone in the entire piazza. Now, this yard, we still, I say we, the Globe still has a yard today, and people still stand. For a while, when restrictions had just ended back in July, this was the seating area between the Anchor and the Financial Times. Yes, the FT building, Susie, which is just a bit further along the river, is in the process of being demolished. It's just been bought, the land, by another company, and the FT building is now being demolished. I do some Shakespeare's Footsteps walks from London Bridge to here, to the Globe, and from the Globe to Blackfriars, so we may have a look at that maybe next week or so. But we still have a standing area at the Globe today. Thank you, Maggie. And it fits 700 people standing and 900 sat down, which is 1,600 people. The original Globe, same shape and size, we believe it held about 3,000 people. And we do hear people saying, well, Gerard, people were smaller back then, but they weren't half the width. They were a bit shorter. Above the stage, it's painted with the moon, the sun, the stars, the signs of the zodiac, Roman and Greek gods. So the heavens are above, the stage is the earth, and then below stage, underneath this part of the set for the fir tree, is a trapdoor that leads into hell, or the underworld, or what Hamlet himself called the undiscovered country. It's quite a nice phrase. So any ghost, witch, devil would appear from underneath. And you may see a gallery up there behind the actors, so the musicians will play from there. And every now and then, when we do very traditional shows at the Globe, they will have a seating area. A few years back, they did an original practices production of Twelfth Night. And during that production, they asked staff to sit 5 members of staff on either side of the musicians, because they were filming it and they wanted people they could trust and not wander off and so on. Hi, Vietnam. Welcome to the Globe here. And they filmed it over the course of 2 weeks. So the staff that had to come, or were asked to come, obviously got free tickets, and they were asked to wear the same clothes for all of that time. And I know one member of staff in particular here, a friend of mine, she changed clothing on a couple of occasions, so continuity was an issue. So we're in one of the lower bays here. A lot of theatres now use nautical sailing terms, so we're stood in a bay. Thank you, Susie. We're stood in a bay. We have a lighting rig, a scenery dock. Theatres have backstage crews. When you went to somewhere like the Globe, you were normally from the local area, so they didn't have much in the way of decoration. They simply mentioned where they were, because it would have been too expensive to build a castle if you were having different plays every couple of days for the same local audience. you would say, "Now we are at the castle, my friend. I must speak to you." And they had no programs, brochures, playbills, so they would announce who was coming on, because you're playing more than one character. And here comes Lord Buckingham. So the public are getting all the information through the words. And it's why in the English language, or in the UK for definite, when you go to a theatre, you're part of the audience, audio, auditorium. But backstage crew, this is, it was originally sailors that would bring decoration in and out. And they had the same pulley systems, and they were used to working at great height. Did the original stage look like this? Now, to be honest, academics don't know. There are no sketches of the globe. There are sketches and paintings of other theatres, but most of the information for this theatre is from the foundations, which were about 5 minutes walk from here. Now the foundations, the original foundations, are underneath Southwark Bridge, a bit further east, and they didn't want to build it there because, well, you couldn't see it from the riverbank, and it would have to be a lot shorter because of the bridge on top of it. And there's a listed building over some of the foundations. But what they did find, it gave us some of the material, which was buried in the ground. It gave us the shape and size of the theatre, and a lot of the rest of the information is written. So diaries, account books, some sketches of other playhouses, and the plays. So this is a very educated guess, and all thanks to one man, a Chicago, Illinois actor named Sam Wanamaker, who had the idea back in the 1940s. And it took a long time. It came up against a lot of opposition. We already had a Royal Shakespeare Company in this country, and I suppose some people thought an open-air theatre in a city where every now and then it rains. Zoe Wanamaker's dad, of course, yeah, Zoe Wanamaker, if you don't know the name, you'll know the face. She plays Madam Hooch, the Quidditch teacher in the Harry Potter films, and she made the opening speech on that stage in 1997. Sam came up against a lot of opposition. The insurance for the building was a lot. The location, to find a location on the riverbank, this was originally a recycling depot for the local council, the local government, and they moved a bit further inland. So the land was going free, or going cheap anyway, and they wanted to have a bar, a restaurant, toilets, thankfully. And it didn't open until 1997. Sam passed away 3 years before the Globe opened, and the South African architect Theo Crosby also passed away the same year. So they never lived to see the theatre open, but they saw most of it finished. And just before, yeah, it's really sad, but they saw most of it built. The riverbank was derelict back in the 80s. It certainly was. And after the Globe opened in 97, a lot of things sprung up around us. So the Tate Modern, the bars, the restaurants. There's a few other theatres along the river, and some other landmarks and museums. But really, because of one man, this area has been regenerated. And whenever I do come in here, I always think about Sam and how proud he would have been. The roof here is a thatched roof after the Great Fire of London in 1666. On the other side of the river, so remember again, this was not part of London, this material, water reed thatch, was forbidden and has been ever since. So we are the only public building with a thatched roof in London. Fire is not so much an issue anymore. The roof has been treated, so it is safe enough, and of course it rains almost every day of the year. The big problem with the roof today is pigeons. The pigeons know that the Globe has a thatched roof, and it's a great source of material for their homes, so they can pick it up here uh, and take bits away and fly down the river and build their home. So it's become like a pigeon IKEA, if you will. Yes, Emma, they no longer fire the cannon. They did a few years ago wheel out a cannon from the attic above, but it was a fake one. But the public get very involved in the plays, and when the cannon was wheeled out, you could hear, "Oh, please don't." The public get very involved here in the plays because in the afternoon, of course, everyone can see everyone else, so it's like a festival atmosphere. But at night, you can see lights. They floodlight the building, so it creates daylight at night. How much does it cost to see a play there now? To stand, believe it or not, is £5. And most of the sandwiches in the cafe are more expensive. And they sell 700 groundling tickets for £5. And the seats upstairs, they range from about 20 in one of the corners of one of the lower galleries to about 50 to 60. Yeah, it is a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper, and that was always Sam's legacy, really. It's always something he wanted. He knew that in the original Globe, the people that came were local. A lot of them were not rich people, and Shakespeare was for everyone. It was for the people and the working classes. But over the years, theatres have become expensive, mainly because of the work that goes into the maintenance of the building and to put on the shows. And he wanted to bring back the audiences that would have gone in those days, just regular folks. Over the years, we now read Shakespeare in school, which is all well and good and great. The academics and the professors studying Shakespeare. But in the old days, you attended a playhouse to hear a play. And most of Shakespeare's plays were not printed until years after he died. I guarantee you, coming to one of these buildings, you would understand the play. You come out often thinking that the Globe has modernized the language because the actors are connecting with you so much more. Any speech on the stage, the actors are talking directly to us. Now, I've kept you longer than probably you expected, so I'll just turn back to myself here. Here we are. I really enjoyed that. Hopefully you did. And I'll take my glasses off so you can see, well, the real me. Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much. Thank you, Beverly. It's lovely to be out here in the morning, to be given some special permission to come in. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Catherine. You're great people. I've got a few tours coming up. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you, Luigi. You're lovely. A few tours coming up, some West End tours. I'm going to try and... This is only my third tour, so I'm still learning. So apologies if the camera work was not perfect, but it will get there. Some footsteps around London. So there's a Shakespeare's Footstep series. There's a Theatre Goers Footsteps. And there'll be a few more footsteps on the way round, and then my own private footsteps, which are little favourite areas of mine in London, which of course this is one. Thank you so much. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your day and the holidays, and I'll see you before too long. I'm redoing the first two tours. Yeah, I will, definitely, Emma, probably within the next couple of weeks. And it'll be all there up on my page. So that's heygo.com/Gerard. And please do come back and join me. It's so nice to see the same names, even just on the third tour. It's nice that you're coming back. Thank you. And I will now leave you. Lots of love, everyone. I'll leave you with one more view of the stage. Thank you so much, Annie. And as I said at the beginning, all oak, painted to look like Italian marble, based on the Doge's palace in Venice. And the actors always stay dry. Happy holidays. Lots of love, folks. Thank you. Bye-bye.